Hello, fam.
Hello.
Welcome to another beautiful episode of Let's Talk Relationship today. And guess what we're talking about? Today we're looking at why is your relationship not working? That's what we're looking at. So stay tuned. In this episode, we want to talk about possible reasons that your relationship is not working and what you can do to make it work. A lot of people have come to us saying this is happening. How can I fix this? How can I make my partner begin to maybe communicate more and all of that? And so we thought that we should do this to just give you some pointers as to where the problem is, because I know that when you get to the problem, you are half there. When you know what the root of the problem is, then you are half there.
Yeah. Most people think relationship or marriage. Majorly we are actually addressing marriage. People that are ready to get married or people that are married. You understand? Most people think relationship or marriage is just living or cohabiting with someone that's just like normal. I've been living my life for about 20-something years. I know how to live with someone. No, it takes a lot of work. And most times people are not ready to put in the work. People are actually trying to be who they are not. You understand? In a relationship. And relationship takes so much. Because even our relationship with God, it's a lot of
extra
work.
Intentional.
Yeah, that's our God in heaven, and we know who God is. And to even manage that kind of relationship, we need to put a lot of things in place so that we will have a healthy relationship with God, not to talk of ourselves. And human being, because we come from different backgrounds, our values, our things that we go through in life, it's absolutely different. In fact, you can come from the same area, come from the same environment, but your experiences are different. You understand? So we need to put that work in. And one of the things I think is really affecting is people are not ready to work. Relationship and marriage is a lot of work. And the funny thing is that it's a continuous work. It's not something you do once and you are good. It's something you would do continuously. As she's getting better in this thing, you need to work on another thing. As he's trying to amend himself, you need to look at other things. Understand? Because different phases of the relationship will present you with different challenges, and you need to know how to work it out. Number one thing you need to work out is your communication.
Very important.
Work out your communication. You talk about any and everything. Make it constant.
Learn to talk about your feelings, your emotions, how you feel when your partner said something. You understand? How did you feel when they said a particular thing or did a particular thing to you? Learn to talk about your feelings continuously. Talk about everything. Learn to be open and to be free in a relationship.
Yeah. And a lot of people they are kind of caging a lot of emotional expression that would have really helped their relationship, but they are just keeping it. You've done this to me in 19 something. I'm going to do my own back. You understand? So all of those things you need to talk about them. Another thing is evaluate your relationship. These things we are talking about are things you need to work on. Evaluate your relationship. What is going on? What am I doing right? How can I be better? That's what has been helping us. Most times we talk about, okay, where are we? Where can we be? What are we doing now? What are we not doing better? You understand? Evaluate. Check yourself. And sometimes we tend to blame the other person for any issue in the relationship. So if you really look at it critically, you know that you yourself,
you have your part to play.
and everybody's part is very important. And next one I think is concentrate on your relationship. The place of concentration is actually a lot of work, because you have distraction of how some people's marriages is working out. This person, you are just distracted. Everything is distracting. Instagram is presenting one motivational person.
Yes, and the funny thing is, you never really know how exactly somebody is doing if you're not in that marriage or in that relationship. Forget what you see outside. Forget what you're seeing outside. You never really know. And I think I want to mention something about the communication. Now, you don't necessarily, it's just the way we work with God. You don't necessarily have to wait until you have one time where you say, babe, we're having a 1 hour meeting today, 3 o'clock. No. It can be those little things. And you just feel like, okay, the atmosphere is conducive for us to talk about this, and we're alone. Let's talk about this, babe. Something happened this day. Why did you act that way? I felt this way when you did that. Things like that. That's how you communicate. And don't beat yourself up if you're not there yet. But the major thing is taking those steps. The moment you begin to start to open up, it gets better. It gets better.
And before you know it, you cannot do without having that kind of conversation, because you are looking forward to having that conversation.
And also communication is not, we're not just talking about things that just affect the two of you in terms of personality or whatever. We're talking about every area of your relationship. Communicate in terms of your finances, in terms of children, sex. Now this, you need to talk about it. If you are in a relationship that is heading to marriage, if you are in marriage, you need to talk about sex. Maybe we'll talk about that in another video on things you should discuss before you get married. So you need to talk about everything that affects you as a whole.
So communication. So we mentioned communication. We mentioned what?
Concentrating on your marriage or relationship, like focusing on you and not getting distracted.
We mentioned evaluate it, you understand, and many more we need to talk about. Just that we need to move. I think the next one is what? If you are not married yet, you need to understand that sometimes God might be saying something to you about that relationship. That's why the relationship is not working.
You're right.
Sometimes you force relationship on people. You understand? So if you are yet to be married to this person, this might be the time you need with God to ask questions and to ask yourself some questions. Do you really want to continue with this? Is this really the will of God for you? How can you make this thing work? Or let me jackpot. You understand? And a lot of things to talk about. A lot of people are putting pressure on yourself because you've been in a relationship for 5 years. Doesn't mean you get married to
doesn't.
Yeah, so don't beat yourself up if you know that thing is not working.
It's not going anywhere.
Just cut it. The earlier you cut it, the better for you. Instead of you amending, you can amend relationship. But when it comes to marriage, it's a lot of work. So listen. Maybe God is telling you something. What do you think?
I also want to say that one last thing is, you might have entered that relationship or marriage for the wrong reason. And when you enter for the wrong reason, except for God's grace or a redirection or orientation, of course, that relationship is not going to work. So I just thought to drop that. So how can we fix it? How can you begin to make your relationship work? We just start communicating, like we said. Learn to talk, and when I say talk, communicate, like ensure that the other person gets you. One thing I try to do is, do you really understand what I'm saying? Like but you get my perspective, right? I make those kinds of statements just to be sure that we are on the same page, because it's not about and then you go. No, you have to make sure that this person understands how you felt or how you're feeling. You understand? And then you are on the same page so that you can begin to take the next steps or put in the necessary action so that your relationship can move
Yeah,
forward.
when it comes to communication, also you need to understand that communication is a two-way thing. That person must be in that conversation. So being there is very important. So that will now draw us to how to communicate. Number one, you must know when. You must know how. And you must know where to communicate. Sometimes we are communicating, we are saying some things where you are not meant to
say them. Yes.
You understand? So understand that some things will not go through into that person's mind because you are not saying it when, how, and where you should say it. So communicate. Very important. Number two that I think you should do is what? Be dedicated to your relationship. Dedication is giving it all. Making sure that you are giving it your best. Don't push blame. Make sure you are in it. You are in it. You are in it. You are in it. This thing must work. Putting all the effort, putting all your mind into it, and creating that atmosphere that actually speak what you believe. You understand? Because sometimes we say we are dedicated, but we are not. Our body language is not saying dedication. We are outside, but we think we are inside. You understand? The mindset of I will just break up if it's not. I'm just. What is it going? If this thing repeats itself, I will stop this relationship. What does it mean? A lot of guys are out there. A lot of ladies are out there. What's that? Let's be dedicated. What you are dedicated to is what you make work. If you are not dedicated to it,
it will not work. And another thing is work on yourself. The success of every relationship is dependent on the wholeness of the two parties involved. Now, I understand that we enter relationships at different levels of our lives.
Yeah.
You understand? You might have been going through a rough time when you entered the relationship, but it doesn't mean that should now define the tone of your relationship, like bring all your trauma or all your issues and then just spoil that relationship. No, work on yourself. Evaluate. Look at things really critically and internalize, like, how can I be better? How can I do better? See, a question in marriage that you should continually ask yourself is, how can I be a better spouse?
Yeah.
How can I love this person better? If you can see 1-2 things that you can do and begin to do it, trust me, it will get sweeter every day.
Yeah.
And there is always the place of help from God. I don't know if I'm jumping the gun, but there's a place of help. We know where we stand in terms of our weaknesses. You get weaknesses in terms of things that we should be doing, but we're not doing. And just talk to God. God, I'm struggling to do this, but I need your help. And your relationship better.
Yes.
I think I jumped.
Work on yourself and work together.
Yes, very important. Work together.
On yourself
because
and work together.
You are a team.
Yeah.
A house divided against itself will not stand.
It will not.
You are a team. That's one thing. See, in the heat of arguments or disagreement, because the truth from my perspective is that you might not always see eye to eye on everything.
True.
You will not have the same opinions on everything. And sometimes these things can want to cause conflict. So one thing I remind myself when I see that we have different opinions, and everybody likes to feel right or to feel like they are right, to know that they are right, and it feels good to win a conversation. So one thing I try to do, I remind myself that, hey, we are on the same team. This is not Man U versus Arsenal. I remind myself that we are on the same team. And there is only one way that this is going to end. You understand? We're going to have a peaceful conversation. You understand? Making sure that our emotions are not hurt in the process. So you are a team, work together. If you have a goal or a project to build your finances, work together. If one of you is in a phase where there's a project that needs to be completed, work together.
Yeah.
It cannot be.
And a way of working on yourself and working together is also work on your past trauma personally, or your past disadvantages
or issues
in life personally, and also work together on it. You understand? That comes to the place where you open up to your partner that, hey, I'm actually struggling with this thing. Help me out. Let's work together. Because the good thing is, when you overcome that kind of challenges together, you become stronger.
Yeah.
You understand? The best way to build, to actually, most of the exercise when you come for counseling is exercise, do things together. You will be asked to go to the gym together. You're asked to solve puzzles together. You have to look for something to do together, because the more you look at things together, the more you enlighten yourself, the more the bond, you understand, you are creating that strong bond, and it's very important. And the next one I think I want to talk about is what? Let's learn to forgive and trust. Learn to forgive and trust, because forgiveness is just like in this relationship. I told my wife, not that I told my wife, I think I came to the point where I know I cannot be angry with her. You understand? I've before marriage, I settled that very long ago. You understand? And it has really entered into me that even when she did something that I need to be angry, I just look for anger, I won't see. You understand? So learn to forgive, just like Jesus did. Jesus forgave us and forgive us before we even sin. You understand? So we should learn to forgive. And when you learn to forgive, you learn to trust this person. Learn to trust this person. One thing about trust is trust grows with time. It's not something that just jump on you. Don't just see this person and say, I trust you. No. There's a process, you understand? And you too, don't do something that will create that atmosphere of distrust where everything you are doing like try to create that atmosphere that will give this person that strong assurance that I trust you. Understand? Regardless, I trust you. I know you will do right. There's a place of flesh, there's a place of temptation, but I trust that you will do right, because there's one thing about grace. God will grace you with what you believe in. You understand? When you believe that your partner, by the grace of God, will do right, that grace to do right will just happen. You understand? That grace to do the thing that he needs to do will just happen. So let's learn to forgive and trust. That's mine.
And so, yeah, I really feel like these points that we've mentioned, it's about work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
We can talk from now till, if you will not put the work, you won't see the growth in your relationship. You won't see the change. So we just hope that you will take one, two things and just begin to work in your relationship.
And I think one final one that we should not forget is always involve God in your relationship. Involve God in asking questions, in praying together, in praying for your partner. You understand? If he is doing something wrong, or he's always acting some certain way, you've discussed about it, it still keeps coming, what you need to do is hand him over to God.
Yes.
Pray for him, pray together, pray with him, pray with her. Just pray, commit everything to God. Let God be the anchor. Let God be the foundation of your relationship, because he's actually the foundation. He started it. So when you give it to him, he will align your relationship in the way that his own plan. He will just align in his own plan, and you say that things will be moving smoothly for you. I believe we've actually touched some things, like she said, it's a lot of work. Let's put the work. Let's work. And when we do the work, we'll see the result. What you don't work, you know work. What you work, you work.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Remember to share our channel and subscribe. We are at Every Seventh Media on YouTube and Instagram. You can also catch us on via email, every7thmedia@gmail.com. Also, remember that next month we're going to be answering your
questions.
Your relationship and marriage questions. So if you have any question, please drop it in the comment section. Send us a message. Anyhow you want to reach us. But by all means, please send in your questions. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Remember to live,
To love,
and to laugh.
God bless you.